everybody, I'm back. Hi. So, the summer has begun and we're in our next semester. I had an interview with the program director to get back into the program as I was supposed to do. I was told I would have to do. And I also found out over the summer that the young lady was coming back into the program. I also learned about attrition rate and how that works and how monies flow with a certain amount of people that you fail out of your program. But they need to fail out in enough time, in the sense that if I'm in the program and I leave early enough, someone else can be put in my place. And so maybe that's why on the third day of classes, I was being told to leave, to reconsider attending, that school and being in that program and getting out while I could still get my money. Because that also gave the school enough time to replace my $120 something plus $1,000 that was going out the door. And I'm not sure if I'm right, but I think that the school would get paid a certain amount of money for me being there and then get paid money for the new student. As if that student were there from day one, maybe. I don't know. Because it was only day 3. Yeah. So the school season starts, the new semester starts. I still haven't figured out what I did to make this man mad, but I've been praying all summer long that his mind was healed, like mine. At least I thought mine was. I thought I was healed. So, I had successfully gained a little weight because that situation made me lose a lot of weight. I was extremely depressed when I left. It was very hard for months to pick up, to consider. Although I had plans B and C, it was hard to even consider what to do next. What do I do right here? Where do I go from here? What does the rest of my life look like? Where's my pivot? How do I make this happen? I decided to return to the program, and I had the interview, and it was a cold interview. Stick with me because you're going to find out why he was mad. So we had our orientation. The year before, it was the school orientation and then the program orientation. This time it was the program orientation and then the school orientation. And then white coat. No, it was school orientation came first, and then program orientation, and then white coat was the same day. Before, it was school orientation, program orientation, and then white coat ceremony was a while later. So that was a difference. White coat ceremony was the same day. So we're in the program orientation now. And in the orientation, he talks about fighting. And let me prerequisite this. Let me prerequisite this by saying I had given the program director a call before classes started, and I voiced to him my concern about the young lady. She said I was a target, a trigger for her, and I didn't want to trigger her. And I think I was a trigger mostly because I'm a person from the class before who knows how she was misbehaving, but I don't know for sure what I, would do or say in the future to trigger her. And I thought it was important that, everyone have an opportunity at the school to learn peacefully. So I thought it best that I give him a call to express my thoughts on her behavior, and that maybe it's best that she and I not have any labs or things together, so that we can stay as far apart from each other as possible. But in white coat ceremony, I was sat right next to her. I mean, not right next to her, but just behind her, where I just asked that not be the case, but it turned out to be the case. It could be because that's how our names fell in alphabetical order. I don't know, so I'm not blaming anyone for that. But then I'm put in every lab that we have with her. So that was done on purpose. And I know it. I know it because in our orientation, he talked about fighting. And it was so weird. I've been in the orientation with him before, and nothing like this ever came up. But he said most fights happen in study, when people are in the same room together studying. And then he said some other stuff. I thought that was the weirdest thing. But here it is. You put two people who have a problem with each other together, and we were the two that he didn't like, and we were the two who were coming back from being on leave of absence, and he didn't want us there. So you put us together over and over again, we're bound to fight. You kill two birds with one stone. I caught that. Oh gosh, I caught that. But I'm not that dumb. She was younger, so she may be that dumb. But I'm not. So then we had white coat ceremony. And he said some things. Let me back up. I gave you the wrong order. During orientation, he says to everybody in closing, so you guys have about an hour before we do white coat ceremony, or maybe it was 2 hours before white coat ceremony. If you didn't like the food we have here, you can get something else to eat, because I didn't eat the food there. I wasn't a meat eater at the time. And take a shower, get some new clothes, tighten your braids. I had braids. There were other people there who had locks, and they looked like braids. But let me tell you something, for those of you who aren't getting the significance of this. The details. Black folk, if we have something that we have to attend tomorrow at 5 p, 3 p, we're getting our hair done the day before or the morning of. It's going to be fresh, tight, to go. And everybody in that room was, every black person. For the first time, that program had 8 black people. It was wonderful to see. But at any rate, I was the only one with braids that needed to be redone. So he was talking to me, and I was sitting in front of him. And someone else in the class said something to me about it, like, he was so wrong for saying that to you. I hadn't said anything to that person. They came to me. He didn't say my name, but the person knew. Every word that person who he was talking to. So right then, I knew that he was still on one. He still had it in for me, and there was nothing that the creator of the program was going to be able to do about it. Because if he were able to do something, he would have done it, and I wouldn't have had that situation. So I began to think, is he signing on? Is he okay with this man doing this? He has to know something, because I've already brought it to his attention, so he had to have a conversation with him of some sort. I would think the conversation goes something like, hey, I need you to leave Kobe alone. Bring it all the way down to 0. because we're glad she didn't sue us. But I wasn't there for that. I wasn't there to sue for age discrimination. I wasn't there to sue for him breaking that contract. All these things that I'd been told about over the past year, that wasn't what I want to be in AA. I closed my business, my very successful business. I was there for that. But he was still on one. But I didn't know why. So then we had the white coat ceremony, and he gave this speech, and just out of nowhere, he puts his hands in my pockets and he says, I give people chances, and they stab me in the back. But it doesn't stop me from giving other people chances. It was just totally non-related to anything he was saying. He was trying to communicate with somebody. 3 o'clock in the morning after that, it hit me. He was talking to you. He was talking to you, homegirl. So, I hadn't had any interactions from the interview until the first school orientation. I hadn't even seen him. We had some emails back and forth like the week or two before school started, because I was referred to him about my financial aid issues. And that was it. He didn't help me with the financial aid issues. He was like, this ain't my department. Don't text. Don't email me. And I was the only one that wasn't paid. It was very weird. And it happened this second time too. I was the only one that wasn't paid. It was weird. And so I had to figure out what I had done. Something happened between that interview and the next time I saw him. Something. And it wasn't the financial aid. But he did peculiarly ask me, how's your financial aid? Telling me he did something. But it's neither here nor there. And I figured it out, y'all. I went to him after a class meeting. He was in the hallway. I was going to the bathroom, and he was in the hallway. And I said, may I have 10 minutes of your time? And he said, yeah, sure. And we went in his office. And here's what he said. He touched the light switch on the wall. And he said, hey, I usually keep the lights off because I have bad eyes. That's what he said. So that confirmed what I knew the problem was. And that's what he was doing, was telling me what the problem was. So here's the deal. What I didn't say about my interview. I followed him into his office just like I did just then. And he said, I'm going to keep the lights off because I just came from an eye appointment and my eyes are bothering me. He had just gotten them dilated, he said. So he cracked the blinds just a little. My interview was in the dark. It was all of 7 minutes or so, and it was in the dark. Well, when I went to my interview in Jacksonville, they asked me how my interview went in Fort Lauderdale, and I said it was great. I got in. It was different from this interview. My instructor had an eye problem. So, it was one person, and we did the interview in the dark because his eyes, something was wrong with his eyes. And I was hoping his eyes were, okay. And I figured maybe they would tell me, yeah, he's, no problem with his eyes. But evidently that's not how a conversation went. There was a conversation that took place. When I told him I figured it out and I told him what it was, I explained that I didn't know that I was getting him in trouble. I didn't know that what I was saying was going to be a problem. And folks, the reason I didn't know is because I would expect him to know. right? If there's a problem with you giving interviews in the dark, you're the program director, you should already know that. And no interview should be given in the dark, because subsequently, consequently, another girl had an interview in the dark. She was so uncomfortable with that she got accepted to the Tampa program, and she went there instead. All because her interview was in the dark and it spooked her. At least that's what I heard. I never spoke with her, so I can't confirm that 100%. So from that, it seems he decided that I was no longer good enough to be in AA. And that was why he invited me out of the program. And none of the other 6 people who failed were invited to leave the program. See, I was black, old, non-traditional. Therefore, I was not going to be successful anyway. And he didn't want to waste any time giving me an opportunity to prove him wrong, because he didn't want me to be in AA. Because he didn't like me. So I was on the other side now. And I can honestly say, when I talked to him, I cried a lot. And I explained to him, hey, I'm 50 now. And I'm going through that little stage. I cry all the time, but I am not weak. I don't need your help. I need no assistance. Just let me get through this conversation. And I told him I didn't know that I had given him a problem. I didn't know. But I should have known. And this was me falling on the stake, because I know how black people operate. I know how narcissists operate. I know how narcissistic black people operate. And I knew that if I was going to have any chance, that I needed to fall on the stake here and say that I was wrong, because I should have known. What I did was I gave these 2 white men who interviewed me a reason to call down on this black guy. And therein lied the problem. And he confirmed that was the problem. I explained to him that I was going to apply at other schools and leave this program. He asked me not to. He said, I'm gonna make you the best AA. But he's a narcissist. So that can't be trusted. You see, once you turn them on, it's very difficult to turn them off. So, and he's smart. Listen, this man is together. He's not a joke. He is to be respected. He is. He has his shit together. I could never say anything other than that. I have not heard anything bad about him in the medical community. I know that he's going around the countryside touting about how he helps black people, and I disagree with that. When you've been the program director for as many years, and like the people on the other side of the school say, your program never browned. They stayed with just 3 at the most black people since the years that he's been there. But they say they're really diversified. But that's another video, because diversity no longer means what it used to mean when we started using it in this country. Before, it was black and white. Now people water it down to still exclude blacks. And you say, well, we're diverse. We're very diverse. We have Hindu, we have Hispanic, all kind of stuff. But you still only have 3 black people in your program. And you're a black man. I think maybe that word got back to him. And the following year, he had 8 black people, which was good. It was beautiful for the situation. Still, there are 45 seats. So, and no other program, like there are programs that are lily white. Even the Hispanics look white. They don't look like the people who come in for their services. It's weird how this country does things. It doesn't make me stop loving people either way. I'm just saying. Those are the stats. So, we're at 20 minutes.